Hello and welcome everyone to the YouTube channel of Infinity Learn by Sri Chaitanya, and today I am here again with you to discuss the solution of the MPL physics exam that was held last week. Okay, so here is the first question, that is the angular speed of the wheel of the vehicle is increased from 360 rpm to 1200 rpm in 14 seconds. Its angular acceleration is, okay, fine. What is the formula for angular acceleration? It is omega final minus omega initial upon delta t, right? What is omega final? Now here you have to be very careful. The angular speeds are not given in radians per second, they are given in rpm. So what will you do? Omega initial is what? 360 rpm. rpm means 2 pi upon 60, multiply by 2 pi by 60, then it will become radians per second. Similarly, omega final will also be what? 1200 into 2 pi upon 60 radians per second. Understood? Now I guess you can easily do it. 60 ones are 66 are 60 ones are 60 20s are, okay, this is 12 pi and this is how much? 40 pi, and delta t is given 14 seconds. I guess it is clear. 40 pi minus 12 pi upon 14, answer is 2 pi radian per second square. Okay, 2 pi radian per second square. Got it? Second option is correct. Now let's move on to the next option. Next question. A point mass m is moved in a vertical circle of radius. Okay, it's very easy. You will say, sir, this is a point mass, it is moving at the lowest point. Right now it is having velocity root 7 gr. Understood? And it is performing a circular path. Now there is tension T upwards, there is mg downwards, and since it is in the circular path, so definitely it is accelerated towards the center, and that is what? Centripetal acceleration. So we will say that it becomes T minus mg is equals to mac. So T minus mg is equals to mv square by L, right? So T is equals to mg plus mv square by L या फिर R, whatever it is. Okay, so in this case it is R, so we will use R only. It is R. Okay, so answer is what? 8 mg. Can you see that? If you put the value of v square, that is 7 gr here, you will get answer 8 mg. Got it? Third question. A car turns a corner on a slippery slope at a constant speed 12 meter per second. Okay, if the coefficient of friction, see here, the frictional force is providing the necessary centripetal acceleration mac. So you will say frictional force limiting value is mu mg is equals to mv square by r. So you will say r is equals to v square by mu g. Now you can put the value 12 whole square upon 0.4 into 10. I guess you will get the right answer, exactly 36 meters. Got it? Fourth is, if angular momentum of a particle moving in a circular path of radius r is L. Okay, so angular momentum for a particle performing circular motion is mvr. We all know that. For a particle performing circular motion, angular momentum is mvr. So what is v? V is L by mr. So what is v square? L square by m square r square. Now what is mv square? You will say, sir, L square by mr square. And what is mv square by r? You will say, sir, it is L square by mr cube. Okay, so whatever changes I am producing on the left hand side, same kind of changes I am doing on the right hand side. So ultimately you will get this answer, third option, right? Mv square by r, that is centripetal force, is nothing but L cube by L square by mr cube. Got it? Okay, a particle moves with constant angular speed in a circle. During its motion, obviously its energy is constant because its velocity is changing, so momentum is not conserved. okay, because its velocity, angular momentum, sorry, what is linear momentum? Linear momentum is m times vector v. Since velocity is always changing, its direction, that is why it is changing, so we can say momentum is not conserved. But yes, if omega is constant, its energy is conserved, half mv square. This is scalar na, so this is conserved. Got it? Now the speed limit of a car over roadways, okay, so this must be the bridge, okay, in the vertical arc. Now they are saying the speed limit is 10 meter per second. This is the speed limit, okay. This is mg, this is normal, and this is centripetal acceleration. So you will say mg minus normal is equals to mac. So mg minus normal is equals to mv square by r. So we can say, sir, v square by r is equals to g minus n by m, okay, or we can say v square is equals to gr minus n into r by m. Now if you want to minimize the value of v, then we cannot change g and r, but we can change normal. So v will be minimum when the body is about to lose contact. So minimum velocity is root gr. Got it? So now using this concept, you can figure out the value of the radius, right? From here you can say radius is nothing but v square by g, that is 10 square by 10. So answer is 10 meters. Got it? Now question number 7, let's do it. Here they are saying the acceleration of 4 kg mass is, if the acceleration, okay, so they have given the acceleration, this a1 is given, and let's say they are asking what is a2. Now let's talk about 2 kg block. (24 Newton is acting forward, spring force kx is acting backward. So you will say, sir, 24 minus kx is equals to 2 into a1. a1 is how much? 1. 24 minus kx is equals to 2 into 1, that is 2. So kx is equals to 22 Newton. Okay, kx is 22 Newton. Now after that, if I talk about 4 kg block, this is a2 and only force acting is kx. So you will say kx is equal to m2 a2. Now what is m2? 4 kg, right? So 4 into a2, what is kx? Kx is 22 is equals to 4a2. So from here you can say a2 is 5.5 meter per second square. Understood? So with the help of the information given for the first block, we will find out the spring force kx, and then we can find out the acceleration on the second, that is 4 kg block. Got it? Now a point on the rim of a wheel 3 meter in diameter is linear velocity. Okay, so what is radius? 3 by 2 meter. What is linear velocity? 18 meter per second. It's very simple. Angular velocity is v by r. (12 radians per second). Got it? Now this is very simple. Centrifugal force and centripetal force towards the center of rotation. Okay, so for B you will write F here. Centrifugal force away from the center of rotation, for A you will write G here. Tangential force changes the angular velocity, absolutely right. Or sorry, tangential force changes the angular velocity H, and angular velocity is along the axis of rotation, absolutely correct. Okay, so we will say that centrifugal force, we always know it's acting away from the rotation, centripetal towards the rotation. Tangential force changes the linear speed or angular speed of the object, okay, and then angular velocity is always perpendicular to the plane of rotation. Got it? So E option is correct. That is okay. Now the minimum speed of the bucket minimum speed of a bucket full of water whirled in a vertical circle of 10 meters at the highest point. Okay, simple. What we will do, we will do it like this. Now it is whirled in the vertical circle. What is the radius? Radius is given 10 meter at the highest point, so that the water may not fall is, okay, so it's simple. For the minimum speed, so that it can complete the vertical circle, is root 5 gr. So 5 into 10 into 10. Achha, this is the minimum speed that is given at the bottommost point. They are asking the speed at the topmost point. So we all know that if the bottommost point given is speed given is root 5 gr, then at the topmost point speed becomes root gr and it completes the circle. This is the case for the minimum speed, so that it can complete the circle. So Vt is very simple, root gr 10 into 10 under root is 10 meters per second. So very simple, got the answer. An inclined track ends in a circular loop of diameter. Okay, so this is an inclined track and it ends in the circular loop of diameter, right? So they are asking that what should be the height from this object should be released, so that this object covers this round completely. Can you see that? So technically here the velocity should be root 5 gr, that we have to maintain, root 5 g into d by 2, right, because radius is d by 2. Okay, so what should be the height? Very simple. You will say, sir, simple concept, whatever potential energy is here should be completely converted into kinetic energy at the bottommost point, right? So we will say mgh should be completely converted into half m into velocity at the bottom whole square. Now we want this to cover the complete circle, so it should be half m 5 g d by 2 after squaring. Okay, so I guess from here we can clearly say that it will become 5 mgd, 5 by 4 mgd. Now if you compare, you can say that mg gets cancelled and finally height is 5 by 4 into diameter. I hope you understand this, right? Clear? Now uniform meter stick is placed vertically on a horizontal frictionless surface. See, suppose there is a uniform stick which is placed like this. Okay, and if it starts falling, then what will happen? Its center of mass right now is here. When it starts falling, it will always fall such that center of mass follows a linear path. Why? Because the center of mass is not acted upon by any force. So here there is no horizontal force on the center of mass. Can you see that? Fx is 0. Only one force is acting, that is mg, that too is downward. So since one force is acting on the center of mass, there are no other forces in the horizontal direction. So there is no possibility that center of mass will move in the horizontal direction. It will definitely move only in the vertically downward direction. So Fy, there are two forces actually, normal and mg, right? For Fy there are two forces, normal and mg. So we can say mg minus normal, which is equals to may, but this is 0, so ax is also 0. Do you understand? So there is no horizontal acceleration, only vertical acceleration. That is why the center of mass will move vertically down. In the previous question, if friction was acting, then center of mass would have moved horizontally as well. Now cylinder is completely filled with water. Okay, if you remove the water, obviously the center of mass will come down. Okay, a ball of mass 0.1 kg is suspended by a string. It is displaced through an angle 60 degrees and left. Okay, no problem, we have done this kind of things. So this is 60 degrees, right? So this is your H, this is your L. So you can say that this length is also L completely. Okay, this is 60 degrees. So you can say that, sir, height H plus L cos of 60 degrees is equals to height, sorry, is equals to L, right? So H is equals to L into 1 minus cos of 60 degrees, which is L by 2. So height we know. Now what they are asking, the tension. So we need to find out what is the velocity here when you release it from here, right? So you will say, sir, mgh is equals to complete kinetic energy at the bottommost point. So you will say V square is equals to 2gh, and h is L by 2. So 2g into L by 2, that is g into L. This is V square, right? Now we will find out the tension at the bottommost point. See, at the bottommost point, tension T is above, mg is downward. Don't say tension is mg. Why? Because it is performing circular motion, so it is accelerated towards the center. So T minus mg is equals to mac. So tension is mg plus mv square by L. Now you put the values. V square is gl, you put it, answer is 2 mg, right? 2 mg. So finally you will say, so tension is 2 mg. So do you know the value of m here? 0.1. What is g? 9.8 into 2. So I guess answer is 1.96 Newton. Second option is correct. Understood? So by conservation of energy, first we will figure out what is the speed at the bottommost point, and then we will figure out what is the tension at the bottommost point, right? Now a particle of mass 200 grams is dropped from a height 50 meter. Another particle is projected. Another particle of mass 100 grams is simultaneously projected up from the ground along the same line. See, acceleration center of mass. Obviously both points have same acceleration, na? If one is dropped, then also acceleration is g downwards. If another one is thrown, then also acceleration is g downwards. So both the particles have same acceleration. You will say, sir, m1a1 plus m2a2 upon m1 plus m2 is the acceleration of center of mass, right? Now if a1 and a2 are same, so obviously a1 and a2 are same, you can say g common. Inside will be m1 plus m2 upon m1 plus m2. So what will happen? Your answer will be g only, downwards, right? Now the center of gravity of a body coincides with its center of mass only if the gravitational field does not vary from one part of the body to another. That is absolutely correct. Okay, center of gravity of a body coincides with center of mass only if the gravitational field does not vary. If gravitational field is uniform in the complete body, then only COM and COG coincide, otherwise not. Second statement is center of gravity is independent of gravitational field. No, this statement, second statement itself contradicts the first statement. So if first is right, second can never be right. Okay, it has to be wrong. So I guess third option is correct, and it is given also there. Two particles of mass 1 and 3 kg have position vectors. The center of mass, simple, m1 r1 plus m2 r2 upon m1 plus m2. This is your position vector of center of mass. Simply multiply and get the answer. It's not so difficult, so I will not do it. 18th question, if the system is released, then the acceleration of center of mass of the particle. This is very interesting. It is going down with acceleration a, it is going up with acceleration a. So I can say a1 is equals to minus a, a2 is equals to plus a, m1 is equals to 3m, and m2 is equals to m. Now if you remember, now what is the acceleration center of mass? Let's write down. You will say, sir, it is m1a1 plus m2a2 upon m1 plus m2, right? So it is m2 minus m1 upon m2 plus m1 into a. Got it? Into a. Yes or no? This is the value. Now we know that in this system, what is the value of acceleration? Just magnitude. So you will say, sir, m1 minus m2 upon m1 plus m2 into g. Do you remember the magnitude? So you will say, sir, acceleration of center of mass will be, we will write it minus of m1 minus m2, okay, minus of m1 minus m2 upon m1 plus m2 into what is a, m1 minus m2 upon m1 plus m2 into g. So your final formula for acceleration of center of mass of this pulley mass system is minus of m1 minus m2 upon m1 plus m2 whole square into g. So it is 3m minus m, that is 2m upon 4m, so 1 by 2, so minus 1 by 4 into g. So answer is minus g by 4. That means center of mass is coming down with an acceleration g by 4. Got it? Now 19th question. For a liquid in a vessel, the force of cohesion is twice the force of adhesion. If the force of cohesion is more, the liquid will not wet the surface. Okay, it is like mercury and glass, this type of combination, right? Force of cohesion is more, so meniscus will be convex. It is right, but it is wrong for us because we want the wrong statement. The liquid will wet the surface. This is wrong, so this is right for us. The angle of contact will be obtuse, exactly, because it's a cohesion force is more, the angle of contact will be obtuse. The angle of contact will be like this, right? So it will be obtuse. Third statement is correct. Number 1, meniscus will be convex. Yes, its meniscus will be convex. So first statement is also right. Fourth, there will be capillary descent. Yes, in the capillary tube it will not rise, it will fall, just like mercury falls in the capillary tube. So 1, 3 and 4 are right. And fifth, will it wet the surface? Sorry, second point, if I talk about, it will not wet the surface, it will form like this structure. Okay, like this, it will not wet the surface, so it wets the solid. This is wrong, so we want the wrong statement, so second one is correct option. Now your figure shows the vertical section of a frictionless surface. A block of mass 2 kg is released from here. Find its kinetic energy at C. Simple. See, potential energy at A plus kinetic energy at A is equals to potential energy at C plus kinetic energy at C. So what is potential energy at A? mg into 14 plus 0 is equals to mg into 7 plus kinetic energy at C. Do you understand? So it will be 7 mg is equals to kinetic energy at C. So 7 into 2 into 10, answer is 140 joules. Oh my god, these are so easy questions, right? Are you understanding everyone or not? Let me know. So I hope this is the answer that you have got, right? 140 joules. Now let's move on to the next question. A 4 kg steel ball moving with, write down, m1 is 4 kg. Steel ball moving with a velocity u1 4 meter per second collides head on with another stationary ball of mass 2 kg. Stationary means u2 is 0, and given that E is half. So these informations we have. Use two equations. One is m1 u1 plus m2 u2 is equals to m1 v1 plus m2 v2. Use this equation. Number 1, momentum conservation. Number 2 is kinetic energy or energy conservation. So not energy conservation, equation of restitution. v2 minus v1 upon u1 minus u2. Okay, so use these two equations and then you will definitely get your right answer. Got it? Now there will be no phenomena of capillarity. Yes, at boiling, what happens in liquids? In liquids, the surface tension is directly proportional to temperature. The surface tension is directly proportional to temperature. So when the liquid reaches its boiling point, its properties of surface tension almost becomes negligible, and hence we can say that the capillarity, see, capillarity is a phenomena which occurs because of surface tension only. So if surface tension ceases to exist at boiling point, there will be no phenomena like capillarity, and hence we can say fourth option is correct, right? The kinetic energy of the body is k, 1/4 of its mass is removed, velocity is doubled, its new kinetic energy is. Okay, what is k? Half mv square. What is k dash? 1/4 of the mass is removed, so remaining is 3m by 4. What is velocity? Velocity is doubled, right? Its velocity is doubled, that means 2v whole square. So k dash will become 3m by 8 into 4v square, that is 3 by 2 mv square, or I can say simply 3k. Got it? 24. Force is given, displacement is given, calculate the power. Time is also given. See, average power is work upon time taken. What is work? Vector F dot vector delta R, or displacement vector upon delta T. So average power is very simple. It will be 2i cap plus 3j cap plus 2k cap dot 3i cap plus 4j cap plus 5k cap. Got it? Upon time is 4 seconds. Now you can do the dot product and divide it by 4 to get the right answer. A lighter body collides head-on and elastically with, okay, a lighter body, that means small m, collides with a heavier body. Okay, heavier body is at rest. Okay, so see, whenever a very light body collides with a very heavy body, the velocity of the heavy body does not change. That means if u2 is 0, then v2 will also be equals to u2 will be equal to 0. Right? Now, what is v1? V1 is minus e times u1 in such a case. So v1 is minus u1. Why? Because e is 1 given already. So we can say it moves back or reverses with the same velocity, same speed. Okay. So a uniform meter stick of scale 2 kg suspended from one end is displaced. Okay, so this is the stick displaced through an angle of 60 degrees. Increase in potential energy. Right now it was here, now it is here. So what is the increase in potential energy? This h. Just now we found out if this length is L by 2. See, this is the center of mass. Center of mass of the rod has been raised by height h. H is L by 2 into 1 minus cos 60 degrees, that is L by 4. So change in potential energy is mg L by 4, right? So increase in potential energy is mgh, that is mg L by 4. So 2 into 10 into meter stick length is 1 upon 4. Okay, so it is 5 joules. I hope they have taken G as 9.8. So if you take G as 9.8, then it will be 2 into 9.8 into 1 by 4. Then your answer is 4.9 joules. Got it? Two identical balls A and B have velocities 0.5 meter per second and minus 0.3 meter per second respectively. Collide elastically in one dimension. Simple again, students. Two identical balls collide elastically, they exchange their velocities, if you remember. Okay, so v1 becomes equal to u2 and v2 becomes equal to u1. So what is u2? U2 is minus 0.3 meter per second, and what is u1? 0.5 meter per second. So your answer is minus 0.3 and 0.5. Third option right. A collision, does it require physical contact? Absolutely right. Collision between subatomic particles is elastic. Absolutely right. Collision between macroscopic bodies is generally inelastic. Perfectly right. So ABC is true. When a body is projected vertically up at a point, this is a good question. This is the good question. Out of these 29 questions, I can say after doing these 28 questions, they were so easy. 29th is a good one. It requires a little bit of logic. So when a body is projected up, so let's say a body is projected up from here. Suppose its kinetic energy is half mv0 square, right? So obviously it will reach the topmost point. Let's say that topmost point is height h. where complete, see they right now half mv naught square plus 0, and here potential energy, here kinetic energy is 0 but potential energy is what, mgh, and we know that total mechanical energy remains conserved. So we can say that half mv naught square is nothing but mg into capital H, number one. Now what they are asking is, at a point P here, let's say at a point P here, the ratio of the kinetic potential energies to kinetic energies. So here they are saying the ratio of potential energy to kinetic energy is equals to 3 by 4. Okay, what is the potential energy there? Mg into small h. Let's call this height as small h. Upon what is kinetic energy there? So it will be total energy minus potential energy. Can I write like this? So I'm expressing kinetic energy as total energy minus potential energy at that point. So it will be h upon capital H minus small h, which is 3 by 4. Right. So from here we can get an idea about small h in terms of capital H. So it is 3 by 4. So you will say 4h is equals to 3h minus 3 times small h. So small h is 3h by 7. Okay, this is equation number 1. Now they are saying, if the same body were to be projected with 2 times the initial kinetic energy, okay, 2 times the initial velocity, then the ratio of potential to kinetic energy is at the same point. Now they have changed the initial kinetic energy and they are saying that half m 2v naught square is equals to mg h dash. So this time if you can see, h dash will be equal to, if you take the ratio of equation 1 and 2, h dash will be equal to 4h. Do you understand? H dash will be equal to 4h. Now that means this time when you throw it again, it is going to a height of 4h, right? So they are saying what will be the ratio at the small h only. Do you understand? Okay, so what we will do, we will say, okay fine, let me take a page up here. Okay, so we will say this time it is thrown with 2v naught, such that this time it goes to a height of 4h, such that its maximum potential energy is 4 mgh, right? So at the same height small h, this time what is potential energy? You will say, sir, mg into small h. What is kinetic energy? It is mg into h dash minus mg into small h, that is small h upon h dash minus h, that is small h upon 4h minus h. So this ratio will become 3h by 7 upon 4h minus 3h by 7. So it will be 3 by 7 upon 7 4 the 28 minus 3 is 25 upon 7. So answer will be 3:25. First option is right. Do you understand this? So here if you try to figure out the value of kinetic energy, then it will become very difficult. So you don't have to deal in terms of velocity here. यहाँ आपको सिर्फ डील करना है पोटेंशियल एनर्जी के टर्म्स में, क्योंकि चीज़ें हाइट के टर्म्स में आ रही है, राइट? द थिंग्स आर कमिंग इन टर्म्स ऑफ हाइट, सो यू हैव टू टेक इन टर्म्स ऑफ हाइट ओनली. So potential energy at this point is what? mg into small h. Kinetic energy will be what? Total energy minus potential energy at that point. And then we'll put the values back there and get the right answer. Okay, now question number 30. Again same thing, whatever kinetic energy here is converted into potential energy here. So half m into 2 square is equals to mg into h, cancelled. So it will be h will be equals to 4 by 2g, that is 2 by g, that is 0.2 meters. See, we all know that excess pressure inside a soap bubble is 4s by r. So excess pressure is inversely proportional to r. If the air is blown slowly, so radius will increase and pressure will reduce. So which graph is showing that on increasing the radius pressure is reducing? No, 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 only the second option. No, 32. A rubber ball drops from a height. Now there's a formula, student. If you drop a object from a height capital H, and if the coefficient of restitution is small e, it rises to a height. Suppose I say if this is h1, h2, then h3 and so on. So there's a formula. H2 is e square h1, h3 is e square h2, h4 is e square h3, like this. Okay, so they have given us that h3 is equals to h by 2 and h1 is equals to h, right? So we will say that h3 is equals to h2 e square h2 and h2 is what? E square h1. So it is e to the power 4 h1. Okay, so it will be h by 2 is equals to e to the power 4 into h. So e is 1 by 2 to the power 1 by 4. Got it? Third option is correct. So remember this formula, that if you drop an object from a height capital H, 1, it rises to a height e square h1 and then e to the power 4 h1, then e to the power 6 h1, like this. Okay. 33. A uniform steel rod of cross-sectional area and length L is suspended. See, tension at the midpoint is equal to half of the weight. Here the tension is balancing the weight of the half of the rod, mg by 2. So T must be mg by 2. So m is what? Rho into area into length into g by 2. What they are asking is stress. Stress is tension upon area, rho Lg by 2 or rho GL by 2. Got it? 34. A body subjected to strain a number of times does not obey Hooke's law due to elastic fatigue. Yes, exactly right. Elastic fatigue is the concept in which an object gets permanent deformation or loses its elasticity because of multiple stresses. Multiple times it has been stressed. You must have seen that thing. If I give you a plastic rod, okay, and I want you to break it, if you stretch it you cannot break it. So what do? You just turn it like this and then turn up, then this, then this. So you try to turn it like this, first turn it like this, then turn it like this. So what will happen here? Elastic fatigue will occur, and this particular portion from where you are doing it multiple times, you are turning it, will lose its elasticity, will lose its strength, and ultimately will not obey Hooke's law and will break. Okay. So they have given you a cube. Like this, okay. A cube whose side length L is given 0.3 meter is subjected to a shearing force of 6 into 10 to the power 6 Newton, assuming that the shear modulus is given. Okay, so all these things are given to you. Find the angle. So everybody knows that. What is area? L square. What is shear stress? Okay. What is shear stress? It is F upon A. That is F upon L square. So we know this formula, that shear stress upon shear strain is shear modulus of rigidity. So F by L square upon theta is equals to G. Okay, put the values, get the answer. Simple, eh? Okay. Two particles P and Q respectively move towards each other under mutual attraction. Initially they were at separation of 1 meter. They collide at a distance. Obviously, if you release these two objects under mutual attraction, then what will happen? their center of mass will not move. So even if they move, their collision will definitely happen at center of mass, that means here. Okay, so we just need to find out the center of mass, that's all. So we know, let's say this is x1 and let's say this is x2. This is point P, this is Q. So x1 is what? M2 upon M1 plus M2 into total length L. X2 is what? That's all. Put the values, get the answer. A small ball of mass m is rotated in a vertical circle with constant speed. The difference in tension at the top and the bottom will be. Okay. What will you do? At the bottommost point, you will say, sir, tension is up, mg is downward. This is the velocity and this is acceleration. So what will you do? You will say, sir, T minus mg is equals to mac, we all know. So T is mv square by L plus mg. Let's say this is T1 at the first point, right? Now at the topmost point, what happens? Tension downward, mg downward, and this is centripetal acceleration downward. So we can say T plus mg is equals to mac. So T is equals to mv square by L minus mg. Now they are saying that constant speed is constant. So what is the difference of T1 minus T2? T1 minus T2 will be 2 mg. Got it? Now, two identical cars A and B are moving at 36 km per hour, goes on a bridge. Okay, same concept. One goes up the bridge, another goes down the bridge, right? So the one who is going up the bridge, so you will say, sir, normal upward, mg downward, this is velocity, and centripetal acceleration is downward. Okay, speed is same. So you will say normal forces now. So n1 will be equal to n1 minus mg. Okay, you will say like this. Wait a second. You will say, sir, here mg minus normal is equals to mv square by L. So n1 will be mg minus mv square by L. Okay, now let's talk about this position. This is normal, and here is the acceleration due to center of mass, and here this is mg. Do you understand? Yes. Okay, so I hope you have understood this. So what we will do here, we will say that next time equation will be n minus mg is equals to mv square by L. So n2 will be mg plus mv square by L. Now I guess they have given you all the values here. Yes, don't forget to convert this 36 km per hour. It will be 10 meter per second. How to convert? We all know that 1 kilometer per hour is 5 by 18 meter per second. Got it? So you can put the values and get the answer. Your answer will come out to be 1:3. Now two uniform rods A and B of length 5 and 3 meter are placed end to end. Okay, now this is important. Two uniform rods, one is of length 5 meter, another one is of length 3 meter, right? So their center of masses are here, right? So this is how much? This is 5 by 2 meters, and this is how much? This is 3 by 2 meters. Got it? The position of the center of mass from their interface is okay, first of all let's find out the mass m1. See, m1 will be 5 into 3, that is 15 kg, and m2 will be 3 into 2, that is 6 kg. Okay, so you know the values of m1 and m2, right? Now what is the overall length? Length will be 5 by 2 plus 3 by 2, that is 4 meters. Okay, so we know what is x1, that is distance from this point P and this is point Q. So obviously x1 will be what? M2 upon M1 plus M2 into L. So let's find out this. X1 is the distance from this. Okay, so M2 is how much? M2 is 6 upon 5, 15 plus 6, that is 21 into overall length is 4. Overall length is 4, right? So it will be how much? 3 2s are 3 7s are 4 2s are 8 by 7 meters, right? And what is the distance of the joint? 5 by 2 meters. So you will say distance from the joint will be, it will be 5 by 2 minus 8 by 7. So it will be 7 5s are 35 minus 16 by 14, that is 19 by 14 meters on the side of the heavier rod. That means here somewhere is a center of mass, and from the junction it is at a distance of 19 by 14 meters. Got it? Now 4 particles are arranged the perpendicular distance of this, and see, if I see 4 kg here, 4 kg here, their center of mass will lie here. 2 kg here, 2 kg here, their center of mass will lie here. So we can convert them like this. This is 8 kg and this is 4 kg and this height is 2 meter and this height is 2 meter. So where is the center of mass? So you will say, sir, let's say center of mass is here. So what is x1? x1 is again, x1 is 8 upon 4 plus 8 into total distance. So 16 upon 12, 4 by 3 meters, that is 1.33 meters. Got it? 41. A car is traveling, we all know that, 80 square plus centripetal square under root. In circular motion, net acceleration is given by this. So a square plus v square by r whole square under root. Got it? So second option is correct. Now 42. Two particles each of mass m are initially at origin. One particle starts moving along positive x-axis, constant velocity. Okay, let us see like this. Okay. So one particle starts moving along positive direction of x-axis with a velocity 4 meter per second. Okay. So it is moving with 4 meter per second. And another particle starts moving with 3 meter per second. Can you see this? Then the coordinates of the center of mass after 2 seconds. See, after 2 seconds what will happen, students? It will reach a distance of 8 meters and it will reach a distance of 6 meters, right? So there, this is the line joining them. See, this is the line joining them. I can show you. Can you see this? Okay. So where will the center of mass lie here? Center of mass will definitely, see, this is m, this is m. So if this length is 10 meters. Okay. So this m is okay, that was mass actually. So the center of mass, since these two are identical point masses, the center of mass will lie here. Okay, done. So this complete length is what? 10 meters. This complete length is 10 meters. So this distance is 5 meters. So obviously these are coordinates. So it will be 4, 3. Center of mass coordinates. Got it? Now 43. A circular disc of radius r is removed from the bigger circular disc of radius. If you remember the result, okay, in the case of disc, if you remove a disc like this, generally whatever is the radius, the center of mass shifts by a distance r by 6. In this case it is not r, it is 2r. So answer is r by 3. Anyways, this is the shortcut, but if you want to do it with proper methodology, you have to do it like this. You will say, sir, this total length is 2r and its radius is r. Got it? Now, so this is m1 x1 minus m2 x2 upon m1 minus m2 is center of mass of the remaining portion, right? Okay. Now for the bigger disk, what is m? Let's say the mass of bigger disk is capital M, right? I'll show it here. Let the mass of the bigger disk be capital M. So M1 is equals to capital M. Removed mass is M upon total area, that is pi into 2r whole square into area of the removed portion, will give you mass of the removed portion M by 4. Now let's say the center of mass of the bigger disk is at its center only, which is origin. So we will consider this point to be origin. Which point? The center of the original disk to be origin. Let's consider this to be origin. So that x1 is 0 and x2, center of mass of the removed portion, will be r, because its center of mass is at this distance r. So let's put all these values in the formula. You will say x coordinate of center of mass of the remaining portion will be m into 0 minus m by 4 into r upon m minus m by 4. So it is minus m by 4 into r upon 3 m by 4. Got it? So it will be minus r by 3. So x coordinate of center of mass will be minus r by 3. Okay, chill. Got it. So question number 44. A block of mass 2 kg is attached to one of the wire of cross section area and is whirled in a vertical circle. The speed of the block at the bottom of the circle is this. Find the elongation of the wire when the block is at the bottom. See, you need this again, same concept. Can you see multiple times this concept is coming? When it is at the bottommost point, its speed is given. It is performing circular motion. You will say, sir, T minus mg is equals to mac. So tension at the bottom is mg plus mv square by L. Put the values and get the value of tension first. Then you will say tension upon area is the stress upon delta L by L is the strain is equals to Young's modulus of elasticity. Put the values. Delta L will be what? T into L by A into Y. Put the values, get the answer. Got it? Everything is given. Area is given, mass is given, radius means length is given, and speed is given. 45. A cylinder. Okay, so they are saying that there is a cylinder where water is upon height h, and from ground it is kept at capital H. This is range. See, it will come out with speed v. Okay, and what is v? Root 2gh. Okay, what is the formula for range? Range is equals to speed into time of flight. So range is equals to speed into time of flight is what? Root 2h by g. So root 2gh into root 2h by g. So you will say it is 2 times small h into capital H under root. Gg gets cancelled. 4h small h under root is equals to r. So small h is r square by 4 times capital H. Okay. 46. Water is flowing through a horizontal pipe of varying cross section. Okay, so here V1 is given to you. So what is V2 here? We need to figure out. So you will say equation of continuity is valid. So from here you can get the value of V2, that is A1 V1 upon A2. It is what? A1 V1 upon A2. This is equation number 1. Second, you will use Bernoulli's equation. Height are same. So you will say half rho V1 square plus P1 is equals to half rho V2 square plus P2. So from there you can get the difference between pressures. Okay, and V1 and V2 we know already, density we know already of water, right? So just put the values carefully and get the right answer. There is no issue in that. Now they are given a pump of 200 watts is lifting 2 kg water. C. Power goes in two places. One is working against gravity, that is giving potential energy to the water, and then it's giving kinetic energy to water. So you will say power is 200 watts is equals to mgh, sorry, it is dm by dt into gh plus half into dm by dt into v square. Okay, so this is 200 is equals to dm by dt is how much? 2. 9.8 into height is how much? 10 plus v square by 2. 100 minus 98 is 2 is equals to v square by 2. So v is equals to 2 meter per second. Got it? 48. A steel sphere of mass 3 kg moving with collides head on with stationary sphere if the coefficient, the loss of energy in the process. Again, very simple, students. M1 is given 3 kg, right? M2 is given 6 kg. U1 is given 6 meter per second. U2 is given 0. E is given 0.5. Okay, use these equations. M1 U1 plus M2 U2 is equals to M1 V1 plus M2 V2, and then you can say E is equals to V2 minus V1 upon U1 minus U2. Then what is loss? Loss is equals to initial kinetic energy minus final kinetic energy. What is initial kinetic energy? So you will say, sir, initial kinetic energy is half m1 u1 square minus what is final kinetic energy? Half m1 v1 square plus half m2 v2 square. Got it? Putting the values, definitely you will get the right answer. 49. See, energy is half into force, half into load into elongation. Now if you compare E1 by E2, it will be delta L1 by delta L2 because forces are same. So technically delta L2 is greater than delta L1. So E2 is greater than E1. So which option is correct? Second option is correct. Same momentum conservation. Initial momentum is mv. Okay. Final momentum is mv by root 3 j cap plus momentum of the second ball. Find the speed of the second mass. Okay, second ball is identical, so m times vector v2, let's say. So when you equate this, you will say, sir, mv I cap is equals to mv by root 3 j cap plus m times vector v2. So from here v2 will be, vector v2 will be v I cap minus v by root 3 j cap. Now you can find out the magnitude, it will come, which will come out to be the first option, right? So this is how you can do these questions. They are easy. This was the easiest paper I have ever discussed with you, I feel, and this could have been done easily within a limited time frame. So that's all for today, students. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope my solutions helps you a lot in understanding the subject and in understanding your mistakes also. Thank you. Tada. Bye bye.